Gratitude encourages me to remain hopeful. I hope one day to create a design prototype others, many of whom are likely to be my primary care partners, can interact with to preview the best ways to support me during my short and long-term primary care journeys. Caught in a situation I am at present only able to describe through collage, I realize I could count myself as one of the privileged few to grapple with the abstract nature of this communications approach. The routine commonality of touch in our society is taken for granted. Yet, at the same time, the omnipresentness of touch overwhelms me, separates me from my primary care providers, and triggers my anxiety thanks to both sensory and cognitive overstimulation. I can't localize most of the pain I experience during my primary healthcare interactions. Most of the time, I am not able to localize where on my body I am experiencing the intimacy of therapeutic touch. This confusion adds to the overload I experience in the primary healthcare environment. I am already actively doing my best to ignore the pain I endured prior to my appointment beginning. Humbly, I resign myself to the temporary and, for me, unknown outcomes of my primary healthcare appointment. How effective will my primary healthcare providers' narration of where on my body they are touching me be for me today? When will the texture of their glove, the intensity of the light, the symphony of irritating sound I can't ignore, and the tenderness of their touch combine to overwhelm me? When I appear confused, fall asleep, and appear at peace, will my primary care provider check in with me? Will they pick up on my subtle communications modalities? After all, I am frozen in fear and paralyzed by my anxiety to a point where I have lost my functional communications capacities. Such a state of existence leaves me traumatized, needing weeks or months and many hours of collage work to process. Often at the end of this self-reflective process, I am still haunted by parts of my experience. I know I can better understand these parts, except I can't. I become frustrated and start seeking knowledge, most of which my specific learning challenges in comprehension, writing, reading, and math prevent me from grasping the same way everyone else is able to comprehend. Overwhelmed, I forsake the dream, which gratitude encourages me to cherish, that one day, through mutually reciprocal actions of hospitality, my experience of primary healthcare includes me, where my subtle leadership replaces the major, often debilitating communications challenges my primary healthcare environment was rife with those of mutually redundant forms of equitable communications, where mutually participatory dialogue, the objective narrated monologue of my primary care partners, and through the norms and spirit of contractual hospitality, my primary healthcare environment cares for all of us equally throughout the duration of my appointment, each time empowering everyone to measurably improve the experience from my last encounter. By prior written, legally binding agreement, my primary care partners and I have the same responsibilities, duties, expectations, and accountabilities associated with the traditional written informed consent documents. Unlike these documents, my signature on such an agreement only indicates my willingness to explore, at a future date, time, and location, the treatment my primary care team and I agreed upon would be helpful, not my consenting to the care we reached a consensus on. It also outlines how concepts of engaged distraction support my transitions between dialogic and narrative care, between active participant and valued recipient of hospitably holistic and mutually inclusive care. By laying out every instrument, supply needed for my appointment, and curating them into one location prior to my appointment beginning, our environment is empowered to mutually respect important intrapersonal boundaries. When supported in healthy, mutually reciprocal, respectful ways, these boundaries eliminate my omnipresent fears of nosocomial infection. I am able to relax, supported by engaged distraction. The objective narrated monologue of my primary care provider, and mutually redundant, sequential environmental communication. My dream of being cared for is actualized. I remain situationally aware throughout my entire appointment, as outlined in writing prior to the start of my care interaction. Multiple, sequential, mutual learning opportunities build collaborative respect for my limitations in the moment. We are granted many mutual signposts prior to the point of no return, reached by prior consensus, where we learn and practice communications modalities I will draw upon before autism and my suspected sensory processing disorder, somatosensory dysfunction, dyspraxia, specific learning challenges, and the related executive dysfunctions all conspire to alienate me from my primary healthcare environment. While I experience a period of functional shutdown, I am not traumatized as I have been in the past. Traditional norms of hospitality, aseptic technique, and mutual privilege form a contract through environmental interactions that leave a mutually understandable set of signposts for us to reflect upon, to improve my care for the next phase of my current appointment, as well as future appointments. Guided by an inclusive dream, our dignity of collective risk manages my executive functionality proactively to eliminate the anxieties I live with. I dream of a way of mutually interacting with others, where I have continuous learning opportunities I dream of, where I am encouraged to stretch my comfort zone, while mutually respecting my limitations and empowering me to respect others' limitations. I am granted additional privileges as I seek new ways to belong. Everlasting happiness replaces my frustrations which separate me from what my community tells me I ought to care for. Hope burdens my reality as I wish to lead a way of life where care is mutually reciprocal, free of the undue hardships of miscommunication, misunderstanding, and the ordeal of comprehending just enough to realize I should avoid something, but not what to replace it with, so I may experience society's genuine inclusion.